Hello, you're still watching Channel One TV. And upon his disqualification for being on the ballot, Bernard Mornah took the matter to court, and the court has made a ruling. Let's cross over to the court right now.
Who is trained in that area to determine. So our view was, because the issue of signatures was an issue, a forensic expert should at least have been called to determine the veracity or otherwise of this, especially that it bordered on criminality.
Mr. President, are you postponing the vision to be president?
Absolutely not. First, let me thank the team that has always been here, the national chairman and his vice, the chiefs and queen mothers, and of course, the next vice president of the republic. Clearly, this is a vitiation of justice. Clearly, it appears that there's some attempt to undermine multi-party democracy and the festering of dissent within our democratic processes. What my lawyer has just said is testimony that the government of our issue was not looked at by the judge. We came to court on Exhibit 4. We only drew attention that Exhibit 2, which was written on the 13th, indicating the specific pages that the Electoral Commission claimed were incomplete particulars of our supporters. When the Electoral Commission drew our attention to those specific pages, we corrected them and resubmitted same. My General Secretary is here. He submitted it. What is in contention is that Exhibit 4 came from the Electoral Commission indicating that we are disqualified on the basis of the detection of several errors and omissions. As a journalist, what is your definition of several errors and omissions? What is the type of error are they talking about? Is it data entry error? Is it error of composition, error of commission, or error of transposition? What is the type of error were they talking about in that? And how come that those errors were not brought to us? Now, if you run to court and you are talking about look-alike signatures, look-alike signatures cannot be several errors. They are defined. Look-alike signatures cannot be several omissions. So these are specificity with which the Electoral Commission then came to court. So clearly you can see that the judge did not look at the issue that was brought to us, to it. It just went round. And I have already instructed my lawyers that this case is not ending here. We will go to the Supreme Court at the most so that this matter will be determined. And that is why my lawyer said that they will quickly apply for the judgment based on the study. Of course, we just listen to it. We will study it critically. But I have already instructed them that we have to go to the Supreme Court because I do not think that multi-party democracy should be jettisoned just from the corners of the Electoral Commission without our involvement. In the past elections, the Electoral Commission will sit down with the parliamentary and presidential candidates and point out what they think are the errors. In this instance, we are not even part of it. The Electoral Commission just sat somewhere, claimed that they have a technical and IT committees. Doesn't the PNC have an IT committee? Don't we have an IT person? So if the EC was determining issues of IT, then our IT person should have been there so that they will be able to iron out the IT inadequacies that they are talking about. None of these things were brought to our attention, and then a judge will come and grant the wishes of the court, the EC. We think that justice has been grossly traversed, and we will go to the Supreme Court. There cannot be doubt that this is like a calculation to ensure that the people's choice of a president is not on the ballot.
The judge says for this reason, you shouldn't have made the mistakes in the first place.
This is a professor setting a question for you to answer, and the professor makes mistakes in the setting up of the question, and you, the student, you are not allowed to make mistakes. What kind of rational thinking is this? The EC made mistakes on their own forms. You are aware of that. Both parliamentary and presidential, the EC made copious mistakes, voluminous mistakes. And they are allowed to make mistakes But we are not allowed to make mistakes. And a judge will listen. In the affidavits that we submitted, we pointed out to the EC's own mistakes. The judge is not minded to tell the EC that as a professor, as a teacher, who is setting up the exam questions, you made mistakes. So, therefore, the students can also make mistakes. The judge did not look at it, but he's saying that the students ought not to make mistakes, even as the lecturer and the teacher can make a mistake. This certainly defies ordinary thinking.
Thank you very much. So that is Mr. Bernard Mornah of the PNC. His application to the Supreme Court, to the High Court, to overturn the decision of the High Court of the Electoral Commission has been dismissed. The judge presiding over the issue first considered whether or not Bernard Mornah was given an opportunity to correct these errors, which is one of the grounds for which he came to court. He argues that his rights of natural justice, particularly the Audi authoring partem rule, which has to do with giving hearing to somebody who is accused or somebody who will be a victim of a particular action. And the judge considered that the fact that on the 13th of September, he was notified of these errors and was asked to correct them, he basically was given an opportunity to be heard. Beyond that also, the court felt that Mr. Mornah, he waived his right to be heard the second time when he failed to adequately correct the figures, to correct the errors that were contained in the documents that he submitted. The judge also thought that the PNC, having indicated to the court that it has been part of Ghana's election since 1992, ought to have been meticulous with how it undertook its activities and ought to have not made these errors in the first place. Some of the allegations against the PNC is that some 4 signatures were the same, and the court felt that the claim by the Electoral Commission that it borders on criminality are right in a certain extent, because when the judge looked at it, the 4 signatures looked the same, and thought that the applicant, in this case Bernard Mornah, was asking the court to exercise its discretionary powers against the Electoral Commission when it was also on the wrong side of the court. In court also was presidential aspirant Samuel Appiah Dankwa, who was also disqualified by the Electoral Commission. You also have a case against the EC at the High Court. Have your hopes been dashed, considering that that of your fellow aspirant has been disqualified?
Not at all, not at all. In fact, if anything, my hopes are really high now, because in the judgment, in the ruling that the judge made, he made certain pronouncements, and for me, it goes to the heart of the matter. He said that changes cannot be made beyond the nomination period. And the truth of the matter is that the EC allowed for changes beyond the period. In fact, if the EC were not acting arbitrarily, we would have had a situation where only 6 people would have been contesting for the elections, including myself, because they allowed certain candidates to make changes on the 13th, on the 14th, on the 15th, and on the 16th. In fact, some candidates brought their changes on the 18th of September, way outside the nomination period, and they were allowed to be on the ballot, which is against the law.
I mean, it's the commission that gives its timelines.
The law is explicit on the issue. The law is explicit on the matter. That the nomination, the commission cannot on their own decide what dates to use as the nomination period.
But how does this bring you back into the race?
Well, first of all, they were wrong in putting me out in the first place. They were wrong because I submitted my documents, first of all, within the nomination period. And secondly, everything was correct with my documents. They didn't find any errors. You see, what you should actually be looking at is that the EC did not find anything wrong with my documents. They said certain documents were not provided, and they were very straightforward with those documents. They said my vice presidential candidate did not have a tax clearance certificate, which we brought before the closing, the end of the nomination period. They said that I had too many supporters for every district, which we simply, the law says that you should have at least 2 supporters in every district. We had 6 and more in every district, and the EC said it was too much for them. They only needed 2. So we took off 4 and more in each case, you understand? So there wasn't anything wrong with our documents. Say, for example, you had a problem with this, or no. It was that we did more than was required. So there's no reason why we shouldn't be on the ballot.
We know that you're seeking to injunct the entire process. Do you have an idea of when your case will be called?
My case will be heard on Wednesday. That's a substantive application. And the injunction will be moved, I think, on the 28th. Yeah, so that's what we have now. But we intend to cite the Commission for contempt because they received the documents, they received the injunction application, and they still went ahead to print the ballot papers. You see, and well, in time, maybe Madam G. Mensah might be the first woman cited for causing financial loss to the state. You know, so I mean, the future is pregnant, as they say, and it's going to be really interesting because this isn't the last. In fact, ours hasn't been moved yet. What we are requesting for, the reliefs we are seeking, have not been said in open court, so probably it's a bit new to everybody. But once you hear our matter, you would come to realize that the EC committed a clear case of misconduct, and they basically overreached all the candidates. They went beyond their mandates. They decided on their own what to do with the law concerning, you know, elections and, you know, all public under. If you are conversant with the public election regulations, 9.2, they basically decided on their own which of the issues to pick and apply depending on the candidate. And we have requested that the EC submit. We've done a notice to produce on the EC for them to submit those documents to show clearly to the world that they treated every candidate differently. Some candidates were asked to make changes and bring them on Wednesday. Others were asked to make changes and submit them before close of day on Friday. They were only given about 2 hours. Some candidates were not given the opportunity at all. And in my case, I was given the opportunity. I presented it in time. Nobody got back to me on the matter. Mine, remember, did not have any issues regarding errors or that kind of thing. No. It was that the EC felt that some materials were too many. So now they should come to court and tell us which bit of the Constitution did we go against. The Constitution clearly says that you should have at least 2. If it's the English, that's the issue. And there are other issues we have actually stated in our affidavit. I think you probably should, read it a bit more and just see the juice of it. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
So that's Samuel Appiah-Dankwa of Yellow Ghana. His case will be heard on Wednesday. We'll be here to report for you for ChannelOne TV. But the issue here today is that Bernard Mornah's application has been dismissed. And until a determination is made by a higher court to the contrary, he will not be part of the 2024 presidential elections. He's already served notice that he would be going to the Supreme Court to seek the court overturning the decision of the High Court judge. Reporting for ChannelOne TV, Hansen Ajiman.
All right, so that's my colleague and a court correspondent, Hansen Ajiman, bringing us updates from the Bernard Mornah case, and as also speaking with Samuel Appiah Dankwa as well about his issue that's going to be addressed in court on Wednesday. Well, stay tuned. There's more updates coming up shortly on Newsfeed at 11 a.m. You don't want to miss out.